Good morning, and I'm really excited this morning to be showing you some new Graphic 45 papers which I've managed to order and have arrived. So I'm going to show you how to make an 8x8 page for a memory book using these brand new papers. So I'm going to bring you down and show you what we've got. Okay, so the papers that we are using are, I don't know whether they are new, but I certainly haven't seen them before, and they're not in the pad form, so I'm presuming they're fairly new because they stopped doing the pad form not so long ago. And these are called Little Things. If I turn them around that way, you might be able to see them better. And they're just such lovely, bright, vibrant colours. And they just, I really liked them when I saw them. So I love that. I love the toadstool on that one. So I thought we'd have a go at using some of these. I won't go through them all, but they just are lovely. So I thought we'd have a go at using some of these today. So I've started a new memory book, and it's an 8x8 book. And I'm going to do, as I did last time, I'm going to do a double page, but this one is going to be a little bit different. So I'm starting off with my base page, and my base page itself, it's got bits of paper on it, is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. And then I've cut the pattern paper, and I love this paper, and I've cut this at 7.5 by 7.5. And then, as you can probably see, I've used the Cool Cats curved slot dies, and I've created 2 slots. So I've created a larger one and then a smaller one above it. And I've done it, I call it sad face. If it was the other way up, it would be happy face. But it's just my way of thinking about it. I've done it sad face. And I've left about, I would say, 2.5 inches between the two. So when I come to stick this down, I want to make sure I've got space there and a little bit of space there, but I don't want that space to go all the way down. So positioning the glue is quite important. Just move that out of the way for a minute. So the first thing I'm going to do, and look, it's lovely on the other side as well, is I'm just going to go around the edges. So I'm going to go all the way around all 4 edges. Never go right to the edge, because otherwise it'll splurge out all over your card, and you don't want that. So I'm going to go and draw a line with glue there and there. And I want to go to the top of the bottom curve. So that's going to hold that top piece in place. This will make more sense. And then I'm going to go up this edge, because that's fine, and up this edge. And I'm going to draw another line with my glue from there to there. I don't want any glue there, but I do want to secure my top edge. Otherwise they tend to get caught. And then I'm going to go around the top there. So all of that is left, and all of that is left. So I'm now going to position that so that I'm happy it's centered. I'm just going to lift it because I find it easier if I lift it. So that is stuck there, that is stuck there, but that is left open, and that is left open. Now when you do these, you get the little pieces left. So what I'm going to do is stick those back in. You don't have to, it looks fine like that, but I just think it gives it a slightly more professional finish. So I'm using my very fine end from my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, and I'm just going very carefully. You don't want too much glue, but you do want the whole thing to stick down. So I'm just going to go around the edges of all of this, like that. Then making sure I've got it the right way round, I'm just going to place it. I'm not going to hold it down and push it down yet. I'm just going to place it in place, getting the two ends in. And then I'm going to find a pokey tool and then just gradually put that in place, holding the other bit up, because what you don't want is to glue it to the top. And when you've got that in place, you can see it just finishes it off just that little bit more professionally. And I'm hoping that in here, yes I have, I've got the small one as well. So I'm just going to do exactly the same thing. Just a little bit of glue along the edges like that, all the way around. And then same thing again. I'm just going to pop, make sure I've got it the right way around, which I have. Lift that up, pop that side in, and you may have noticed that I'm using black card rather than blue. I tend to either use blue or black because it makes the colours pop. And in this one, I actually, because there's quite a lot of green in it, and I'm not keen on blue and green together, so I went for the black this time. And you can just see it gives it a very professional finish. And then the Graphic 45, for most of their sets, they do the journaling cards as well. Now I will mount these cards, but you can see now how they fit in. So you've got 4x6, and then you've got smaller ones. So you could put a smaller one in the back there, like that. And when I've mounted them on card, they'll look much more professionally finished. So that's your back page. I'll take these out for a minute because I don't want them in the way. So that's your back page. So as before, I've now got a page that is 7 3/4 by 8 1/4, and I've got a 1/2 inch hinge, and it's a top hinge. And as you can see, I've already made a start on the front of this. And what I'm doing this time is 2 little pockets. And if I open the pockets, there's a little pull-out slider inside, like that. So I'll just push that back in, and then it just goes around there, and that just holds it down. So I've done one, and I've got the other one to do. So if I bring over all the bits that I've got, oops. So the actual piece that is going to create the pocket, I've got all my things here, is 7 inches by 3 1/2, and the decorative paper is 6 3/4 by 3 1/4. So it's going to go near the bottom, but it's going to give me just a little bit at the top to make it easier to get that out. So I'm going to put my paper on the top here, and I loved these papers. So as you can see, that's the reverse, which I've used as my base paper. So my base paper I've stuck down, that's 7 1/2 by 7 1/2. And then I've used the other side to create my pocket decoration. And because I want to be able to get something in that's quite similar in size, I'm going to use my thin end again, and this time I am going to go quite close to the edge. I want it to stick, but I want to have a fair amount of wriggle room to put my slider in. Whoops, I'm a bit close to the edge there. This bottle takes a little more squeezing. It's the larger, and it takes a little more squeezing, so you don't have quite the control of your hands as perhaps you'd like. So you can see it is literally just a tiny line. So I'm going to line this up with the other one, because I want it to look like just two panels, and then you realise that there is something going on with the panels. So I'm just going to go around the edge of that. Now, when I cut these last night and I wrote the measurements down, I then realised that they were slightly too big. So I'll give you the measurements that I originally had, but you may need to just cut a little bit off. It depends how good your glue is. So they are 7 3/4 by 3 by 3. Yep, sorry. And they are rounded. So what I've done is I've used my rounding tool to do that. I've then scored at 1 inch to create the flap that goes over the top. And then your papers are going to be 6.5, because remember you've got your top, 6.5 by 2 3/4. And that's going to stick on there like that. And I'm just making sure it's the same way up. Yes, it is. So I've gone dotty side. So I'm going to put that onto the inside of my slider. And again, you can see I've rounded those bottom corners. So that's going to sit in there, centre it up, and that's going to sit in there. Okay. Now you'll notice that I've got a little centre thing, because when I made it originally, I couldn't get these to stick down. I didn't want to use magnets, so I had a little play. And what I've done is I've used the Cool Cats brads. So this is a die, and then you make the brads up. And I've used 2 of the little washers so that I can get my string in between. So I've got 2 of my top pieces, and these are 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches, and again rounded to fit onto there like that. So all I'm going to do, and I haven't got it out, so I'll just get it, is I'm going to make a hole in the middle of here. Am I going to stick it on and put it through both? I think I will, actually. So I'm going to stick that onto there. Sorry, I was just thinking aloud then. So I'm going to pop that onto there, like that. So that one goes on there. Now I'm going to make a hole in the centre of that. And I could centre it all up really nice and neatly, but for speed I'm just going to do it like this. You would centre it up properly. And then you just put your brad through there, open it up, and just stick it down. Now the joy of the Cool Cats make your own card brads is that they don't leave a mark. They're soft because they're just made of card. So unlike the metal ones, they're not going to leave a mark. And then I'm going to cover that with, there it is, with my other piece. So again, same size. So it's a 3/4 inch by 3 inches. And I'm just going to stick that on the top. And just stick it down firmly. Like that. And then that's going to go in there. And as I say, you may need to just trim it down slightly as I've done. And then I have a strip here, which is the same length. So that's going to be 6.5. No, sorry, 6 3/4. And I've just made a little hole in the top there. So I'm going to put my other brad through there. I'm going to open it up like so. And again, I'm going to stick it down either side, stick those little feet down. And then that is going to go in the centre there. I'm just going to stick that down to the centre there. You could use magnets. I struggle with OCD, so magnets really don't work for me. So I'm just going to pull that down slightly so that it's on the end there like that. And again, you would centre that all up nicely. And then you pull that down, and then I've got a little bit of twine here. And I can feed that between the washers. So you should be able to feel it as it feeds between the washers. I'm going to put a little knot in there. Give it a squeeze and it will find its space between those washers. I'll cut that bit off in a minute. And then that goes round like that. That goes round like that. And then I've got 2 little circles. And I'm going to put some glue on each one. And I'm going to put them about the same length. So one there. Oops, I'll just do the other one as well first, I think it's easier. Let's try wrapping that round again so that I know roughly where I'm going. So one there, and then put that one on the top. Give that a really good squeeze and then trim. Okay, and I'm just going to trim this a little bit. I'm not going to trim it completely because otherwise the knot comes undone. I'm just going to trim it a little bit. And then that will go round, 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 and hold that in place like that. I'll just trim a bit more off there. So you've now got 2 little pockets there and there, and I think I might just move that up a little bit, but I can adjust that later. So that's going to be the front. On the underside, I've cut a piece of decorative paper at 7.5 by 7.5. I've taken 1.5 inches off the top, and I'm just going to stick this onto here. And this one was nice because when I came to cut the 1.5 inches off, it was just on that nice little border. Then the other 6 inches I'm going to mount. So I've got 7 3/4 by 6 1/4, and I'm going to mount that onto there. I could put a photo slot, either a square or a round one in there. I'm not going to, but I could easily have done that and given myself another photo space. So I'm just going to pop that onto there. Like that. And then I'm going to make this into a large pocket. Like that. Making sure it's not on the hinge. Line it up with the pattern above. And it just so worked so beautifully with this particular piece of paper that you had that beautiful border. And then I've cut a piece of card at 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, and I've rounded the 4 edges, and then cut another piece of paper at 6 by 6, rounded those edges again. I'm just going to pop that onto there. Like so. Making sure it's even all the way around. And then I've cut a Cool Cats tab, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm going to fold that in half. And you get the dies to do the decorative piece as well. And I'm using the reverse of this paper to decorate my tabs. So one there. And one there. And then again, if I was doing this, I would centre it up using my We Are Memory Keepers centering tool. But for speed, I'm just going to eyeball it. Got pretty good at eyeballing it, actually. I'm usually not far off the centre. So let's pop that on there. I don't reckon that's too bad off centre. Okay, give that a good squeeze. Then that will go into there. So that makes the opposite end to this. That is going to bother me, so I am going to just see if I can't. If I can do it easily, I will. If I can't, I'll play with that. I might just have to cut 2 more circles because that is too long and it's bothering me. It's not symmetrical then, both sides, as you can see. Okay, so I can play with that. And because it's too long as well, it's coming undone. You need to be able just to have that a bit shorter so that it weighs it. Right, so you've got your slots. I'm just going to pop 2 in there. I put 2 small ones in. You can put big ones and small ones. And then I'm going to put this over the top, just as I did before. So holding it up, slide it into place. Make sure it folds down before you do anything else. And then when you're happy, it's going to be a bit tough again because you've got a lot of edge on it. So let's get the Teflon tool and just give that a bit of a squidge down. And I think I'll open it up and do it like this. Okay. And then the final thing I'm going to do is, again, a piece of double-sided nothing on there. And I need some black ribbon. Let me just find the ribbon first, make sure I've got enough. I'll use that one. That will do. Take that off. Put your ribbon on. And shut that off. Got all ribbon reels here now. And then that will just hold that in place. Nice and neatly. And when I've finished fiddling with that, that will work better too. Okay, so back up. I hope that page was useful. I hope it's something that you try. I know a few of you have said you're going to give that idea a try from the last one we did. I hope you have a go at this one too. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.